This is a 2019 Ram 2500. It's got the bighorn trim, the big Hemi V8. I'm going to tell you 10 things you need to know about this work truck starting right now. My name is Mike. I'm just a normal guy. I do car, truck, and SUV reviews of the cars that I mostly rent, sometimes borrow, and own. I have new videos every Monday. Let's get to the list about this 2019 2500 Ram. So number 10, the styling has been refreshed for the 2019 year. They started selling this 2019 well into 2019. They didn't introduce it or make it for sale until well into the year, I think around March. And so this is the all-new 2500. It's based largely on the updates that were done in the 1500. The interior in particular is very familiar if you've driven the 1500, the update that happened in 18. And so I did do a review on that. I'm going to link it up here if you're interested, although I'm going to cover a lot of the same stuff. So the first part about the exteriors, I think that they did a great job of keeping the heavy-duty Ram still looking tough. All the proportions are large. The grille is huge. The hood itself sits up high. It has a good kind of aggressive, powerful look. Overall, I think the truck looks great. The updates to the taillights, the headlights, the LEDs that are available in some of the higher trim levels all lend itself to allowing Ram to charge more and more for the higher trim levels. But this bighorn is somewhere just south of middle of the road. In my opinion, it doesn't include leather seats, but it has some great options and represents a good value. So with the sport package, you get the mono-colored front and rear bumpers. I think that makes the truck look excellent. It looks less like a work truck, a little bit more like a custom or a sport truck, as the name implies. So, all right, number 9 is the center console. So if you haven't seen the center console in a Ram and you're considering one, go check it out. I think it's by far the best center console available in a truck. It is maneuverable. You can switch it all around. It has tons of room. You got 2 really smartly placed spots for your phone. There's a little hole at the bottom so you can plug in your cell phone connector. It comes with an optional RAM charger kit where you actually have wireless charging there. If you use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, you're going to want to not use that, but it comes with 2 USB and the USB-C right at the front. You can move this center console all the way up, 2 cup holders, lots of change. Center side, you got tons of room here, more USB. Then on the bottom, you've got your Pythagorean theorem, some different measurements, which is a nice touch. And then the center down here even has a max fill line that lets you know how much you should put in there before you'll start to have interference. So if you were considering putting a bag in here, which I do so that it doesn't, it's not visible to the outside, it looks like there's nothing in here. A lot of folks even put safes in here, like a gun safe or something like that. And so there's tons of room for all of your junk, which if you've got a truck, you know what I'm talking about. Eventually it just fills up. And so I think the center console in the pass-through for the Ram is a must-have. I think it's one of the best in the industry. All right, number 8. So this Ram is available with a lot of safety features, but the bighorn doesn't come with most of them. So you do get a pretty nice rear view camera. It's got, good controls. It does allow you to see it when it's turning. But the camera itself is really the only kind of safety feature in terms of modern tech. It does have rear, sensors, which allow, will beep at you. I think that's a good feature for parking a big truck, especially if you're in a garage or something like that. But, there's lane keep assist, there's adaptive cruise control, blind spot monitoring, none of which were optioned as part of the Bighorn. There is a safety package you can buy. I do recommend it for Ram, especially with the bigger trucks. I just really wish they brought the safety part in particular down to the lower tier trucks in terms of at least having, some of those as standard. All right, number 7. I mentioned the center console is class leading. I also think their infotainment system is class leading for trucks. It is intuitive, it's easy to manipulate, very responsive. I think that the Mopar product for their center screens, it's called the Uconnect system, is outstanding. There were some of the, they updated everything with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. You've got good navigation, Sirius XM, whatever you need, just like you can in any car, but it's just very easy to figure out, operate. It's intuitive. It's a good system. It's also more customizable than ever. You can change the color scheme, some of the icons, you can move around. I did find that one of the most recent updates they did, some of the font is smaller than it used to be. I don't necessarily like that, but I'm not going to call it a gripe. All right, number 6. As this truck is configured, which is a crew cab 4x4, you get 3,500 pounds of payload capacity and 15,840 towing capacity. Now that can be changed quite a bit. I'm not going to go through all of the options, but a 3,500 dually with the big diesel can tow up to 35,000 pounds. Now, it's just outstanding. It's crazy numbers. This doesn't do anything near that, but you still get a good, especially payload capacity. So the towing capacity and payload capacity are top of the line. They're going to get the job done. If you need more than what this offers, definitely go up, and I'll talk about the engine choices in just a minute. Hey, if you're new to my channel, consider checking out some of my other reviews. I do the most amateur reviews you've ever seen of the car, trucks, and SUVs that I rent, borrow, and own. New videos every Monday. Thanks for watching. Number 5, the Hemi V-8, 6.4 liters, comes with 410 horsepower, 429 pound-feet of torque. It's definitely a powerful engine, but it's the base engine. It is a beefier version of the 5.7 liter V8 that comes in the Ram 1500. It's a capable gasoline engine, so if you're interested in gas, it's definitely a good option. The problem is, if you are really after that towing capacity, the turbo diesel, the 6-cylinder, is just amazing. You can get it with the base 6-cylinder, which is 850 horsepower, or the even better version, which has 1,000 pound-feet of torque. And so that, it represents the top of the line. It's about a $9,500 upgrade to go from the Hemi to the diesel. So if you need it, I would be all about it. But if you don't, this Hemi V8 is a great option, and you're going to pay a little bit less in the long run. All right, number 4, since I'm on the subject of gas, miles per gallon. So I saw approximately 14.5 miles per gallon. Most of that was highway, and so I was a little disappointed. If cost is a factor to you and you don't need the full 2,500 capability, I would lean towards the Ram. You can see closer to 22 miles per gallon on the highway from that truck. So this definitely has the capability, but with it comes a lot of size, a lot of weight, and a lot less miles per gallon. So on the highway, cruising about 75 miles an hour, I saw less than 15 miles per gallon. A little bit disappointing. All right, number 3, what's this Ram like to drive? I do think it drives nice. However, it drives a little bit more like an old school truck than I have become accustomed to. You could argue that I've just been spoiled, but driving a truck with an air suspension, which this does not have, just makes you feel unaccustomed to the kind of rigidity and bumps that come with the heavy duty truck. When you hit something, you feel it, and it's because the suspension is so strong and stiff. But with those air suspension, it is an available option for the heavy duty trucks. And so if ride quality and the ability to lower the rear, there's a lot of things that go with that heavy duty air suspension, which again this truck doesn't have, but I recommend looking at it if that's something that's important to you. It sits up so high. This Ram measures, as it's a 4x4, at 80.9 inches. Most parking garages are on the big side, 82 inches, so you're barely clearing. I think that the ride quality of this truck is as good as anything out there, given that you're talking about a Bighorn without the optional air ride suspension. So number two, the interior is world class. It's definitely a clone of the 1500 interior. Ram won a lot of awards and got a lot of recognition for how well it was laid out. The touchscreen options, this has the larger of the two smaller touchscreens, and then you can opt for the giant touchscreen, which is like a laptop size. And so the overall package with the Bighorn, which comes with these durable cloth bucket seats, it's laid out well. I mentioned the center console. Overall, I love the interior in the Ram. It's one of the reasons I have owned a Ram and will continue to. I love the interior. I think it's comfortable, usable, and well thought out. And then the number one thing you need to know is the MSRP. So I'm going to caveat it with that because, as you probably know, trucks are really difficult to price because there are so many rebates, discounts, price games that all of the manufacturers are playing. But MSRP starts at $33,640. That's going to be for a single cab 2500, truly a work truck, all the way up into the 80s for a diesel limited. And so this truck, as optioned out, comes in around 52, 53. I saw them online closer to the upper 30s, 38, 39, depending on what options you start to add. And so you could probably get one, high 30s, maybe even mid 30s for a Hemi 2500 with limited options. So overall, I think this represents a good value. If you like the Ram product, if it's the right truck for you, I think all the major trucks, Chevy, GMC, Ford, and Ram, are great products. You really can't go wrong. It's more about what your personal tastes are. That's my opinion.
So real quick, I almost forgot to tell you about the gripes. So the first one, with the Bighorn trim, it does not come with automatic climate controls. I think that's a travesty. They should definitely include that at this level for $50,000 for a truck. Number two, the back seat is not updated like the Ram is in terms of its ability to be folded flat. That's because of the beefier chassis, but they did stick with the older system where you have these fold outs that you can create a flat floor. So they did use kind of their old system for creating a flat surface. I'm just a little disappointed they weren't able to pull off the flat floor with the easy flip seat. And then the third gripe is that there was no mega cab option. They dropped that. I understand why they did it, but I'm still a little bit irritated. I thought it was a unique feature for the Ram. You got that extra, 5 or 7 inches in the back at the cab. And so while it is extra roomy compared to the old standard crew cab, it's just not the same as that mega cab. And I'm gonna throw in one more gripe, and that's that the jack in the event of a flat tire is located underneath the passenger seat. That's a good thing, because if you had your bed loaded up or a trailer or whatever, you wouldn't have to unhook everything in order to get the flat, to get the jack out. But that cover is not designed to stay on very well. I've had multiple Rams where they have the same issue, and that's that when someone gets in, if they kick it with their foot at all, it comes loose or it comes off even. And so I wish that they would have redesigned that little cover a little bit better. That's it for the gripes.
So if you're new to my channel, my name is Mike, and I review the car, trucks, and SUVs that I rent, borrow, and own. I have new reviews every Monday. Thank you for watching this video.